if you know the show, you know this is the time where we take stock of our feelings heading into are getting 1 week closer to a Michigan matchup. In this case, it is literally next week. And I am going to stick, right? You can go gray, light gray, white, which is neutral, scarlet, which is the second most panicked, and then the most panicked being, sorry, light scarlet is second most panicked, and then most panicked is scarlet. I'm going to stay in the white there, Spencer. But I will tell you, like, I really thought about going back into light scarlet because of Kyle McCord's performance. I think some of it might have been they didn't want to give away too much heading into next week. And I also, the other reason why I'm not going to dock him is Michigan looked not great today against what I would say is the definition of a middle of the pack Maryland team in the Big Ten.
Well,
so
let's talk about that quickly because, I was curious how much this would impact your meter. I'll give you mine here in a second, but I'm curious, like, how much are you walking away from that game, like, giving a little bit of the side eye emoji, like, okay, like there might be something there that Ohio State can take advantage of, and why do you think they look like that?
I mean, listen, I think it was Radu on our comments that said JJ looks banged up. I do think that is an interesting wrinkle heading into that game.
Also, first of all, he's not winning the Heisman anymore. They spent the last 2 weeks just like running the football into oblivion. So I think his Heisman conversation's over. And I don't at first I maybe thought like, okay, maybe they're just going to do this to, not give things away for Ohio State. But then it was like, no, that's such a stupid way to play football. Is like, oh, we're not going to do anything with JJ McCarthy before the Ohio State game. Like, especially when you were in that Penn State game and it was a little close for a while. This game was close for a little while. Like, I think that's just what they're doing. And I don't know that I'm like deathly afraid of JJ McCarthy. Also of note, I know that Michigan lost one of their best receivers today too, in Raymond Wilson. So that's a big one as well. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's a number of factors in play here. I think I think finally Michigan's playing some teams that were, again, Maryland's more of a middle of the road team, but like you got Penn State last week. Okay, they put up a decent fight. They kept it close at the end. It was a little bit, tighter at the end there. Today was tighter at the end there. And I think they've gotten a little bit more tested of late. I think that this sign stealing scandal, which, by the way, I'm taking a victory lap here really quickly because on two fronts. First of all, I think that my theory that Sharon Moore was just playing it up for the cameras last week is 100% true after today. Did you watch his post-game interview today? He looked like unrecognizable from last week. He was very like buttoned up. He sounded like Kevin Stefanski after every Browns game. He was like, yeah, very good win for us. 1,000 wins in program history. That's a big milestone.
Do you know why?
That one's for you, coach. And then he said, but you know what? It's guys like this that got us the win. So you talk to them. And he walked off with a normal face, normal everything. He played it up for the camera so hard. And then you know what? They had to eat crow this week when all this evidence started coming out against him. And now all of a sudden he was like, oh shit. You know what? I better not pull out the tears again and fake my way through this interview. No.
You're being the big Ohio State homer here, and I appreciate it. Do you know why Sharon Moore completely looked different today? It's because he knew that everybody made fun of him for a week. I mean, that dude was roasted on every show because it was so over the top and so goofy.
But that gets into the second part.
I don't think it has anything to do with guilt or not guilt. I think it has everything to do with, dude, people were saying this could cost me a job because I look like a bitch. That's what this had to do.
He did look like a bitch. It's very true.
Now, you know what? You say that to his face. We got to get Sharon Moore on the podcast, and we're going to say to his face.
That's our special guest?
Does Sharon Moore look like a bitch?
Oh, man. But that gets me to the second thing I'm taking a victory lap on, which is I said all along, and you admitted this too, to an extent, like the whole we're the victim act, it wasn't going to play well publicly. It didn't play well publicly. And then guess what happened? You guys got found out. And all this this uncovered evidence that got brought to light this week, you had people destroying evidence that the NCAA was trying to look into, and that coach gets clipped. You had just all these different things come out. This Uncle T. That, you know what? That's a question we should throw out there. Give us in the comments section, who do you think Uncle T is? I think most people have an idea, but who do you think Uncle T is?
Ready for it? Tim Allen. Think about it. Pure Michigan. He's the voice of Pure Michigan.
That's right.
He loves talking about, just Michigan in general. He's really like overly confident. Like he's an average comedian that lucked into a great show business career. And can you just see him being like, "Oh, you need an extra 250K there, Connor Stallions?" Oh. Right? Like he could do the whole bit. Because as long as you're handing people money, and can we also say
he's gonna be like his neighbor from Home Improvement looking over the fence? That's what he was.
Yes, he's like Wilson. And I just want to say, I officially welcome Uncle T to this podcast because now Uncle T, like if it really was this Terry Smith guy, he's been kicked out of the Michigan Circle or whatever it's called. He's been kind of kicked out of the NIL collective, and he's got a lot of money. And he doesn't know what to do with it. And I'm now stepping up
sponsors
to Uncle T and say, if you want to do Uncle T's Sons of the Show podcast, and don't worry about paying Odyssey, just pay Spencer and I. All right. And listen, I'm a
when we pause for a word from our sponsors, it would just be Uncle T. That's
yes, it's just him. And he's like, "Hey guys, can I get you some Connor Stallions?" That's how he talks in my head. Sorry if that's not how he sounds.
Sell you some vacuums.
But yeah, like listen, Uncle T, come down to Sarshone Chevrolet with me and buy me a High Country. Okay. Like maybe buy me a house. You bought Connor Stallions a effing house. You can buy me a house. Houses down here are cheaper than they would be in Ann Arbor. True. So I'm just saying, like Uncle T, I'm here. I can be bought. And, you can take me to Sarshone. You can take me to Bookman, and I can buy my wife a new wedding ring because the old one's cheap and janky because we're just going
through the list of
I'll take you to Master Pizza. And I'll get you some of the pepperoni passion. We'll sit there. You can tussle my hair.
You're out of the Michigan circle of trust, but you are very much in the afternoon drive.
Into the Sons of the Shoe.
The Sons of the Shoe.
Yes. Yeah. No, not the afternoon drive. Leave Dustin the fuck out of this. No, Dustin does not get my Uncle T money.
He doesn't need the Uncle T money.
He's got his own Uncle T from back in the day. Okay? I need my uncle. All my uncles are dead. You know what? I'm going there. I'm now
You're going to adopt him as an uncle?
No. What I'm doing is now it's guilt. Uncle T. I don't have any uncles anymore. All right. They're all dead. I mean, pretty much. And you know what? Pretty much all the men in my family, like all the older males outside of my older brother and my grandpa, they're all dead too. So like, I'm like Oliver Twist, man. Like I'm like the Are You My Mom? That dumb bird book that we read to kids. Like I'm that. Like Uncle T. Are you my uncle? Yes. For the right amount of money? Absolutely yes. I blacked out.
That was a very long-winded way to get to my point of Michigan tried to play the victim thing. I was totally like I was so ready to. Well, we did dive into it, I guess, on Tuesday, the America's Team thing that Jim Harbaugh put out there, and they had like you asked me last week. Do you really want them to like just sit back and be like, oh yeah, we did something bad and whatever? And that's basically what they had to do this week. They basically had to sit back and admit wrongdoing and then just go out and play football. And I think we saw that today. They still came out with the win, but I do think it's gotten to, I think there's just a little bit, an inkling where it's kind of wearing on them a little bit now. And it's affecting them differently than it did a week ago where it was this rallying cry. Now it's like, okay, this really happened and we got to wear it and everybody hates us. How are we going to arise in these moments? And so because of all these different factors and because Michigan didn't look as good today, I think there is a window of opportunity here that Ohio State could play a close game. I also think that you have, first of all, when these two teams do play, there was a number of years where we thought Ohio State was worlds better than Michigan, and they would still play close games. I think that's always just kind of par for the course with these two teams generally when they get together. I know the last 2 years have been blowouts, but I think it could be closer this year. I think there's an opportunity that Ohio State could still walk out of there with a win. We'll see. The fact that it's on the road makes it a little tougher. But because of that, I have swayed slightly more into the light gray. Into the light gray.
I'm just a little disappointed. You and I were so unbiased. We were so straight and narrow with our coverage on this. And we weathered the storm, we weathered the criticism, and the second Sharon Moore cried, there's something went off inside of your brain that you like I kind of want to know where you were on January 6th a couple years ago,
Oh,
because I
stop.
just feel
No,
I just feel like you're
no.
all of a sudden getting into that cultish mentality that some that some might be prone to. Can I just tell you though, what really changed?
Did it trigger me? Yes. But it was very much true that that was ridiculous. That was 100% that was the corniest thing I've ever seen. Somebody try to pull on us. Like,
All
you
right.
guys are accused of these things. You guys are accused of cheating and sign stealing, but you're gonna act like we're idiots and that we should feel sorry for you. That's not how you win my sympathy. That's just not how you do it.
I've got a two-parter for you. Do you own khakis? And were you in Charlottesville about 6 years ago?
Oh,
I don't know. And again,
God.
they're completely
No.
unrelated questions. All right. Can I tell you where people are so thirsty to take a victory lap on this Michigan thing, this Michigan sign stealing thing, that they've missed the actual point here, because this is no longer about sign stealing. All right. And the penalties that they would have received for just sign stealing probably would have already been I think we would have met the threshold. The moment that Michigan had to fire their linebackers coach because he destroyed information and destroyed technology while in the midst of an investigation. Now, I will be honest with you. That matters most if it's like an actual legal investigation.
Right. Like the FBI is involved.
Yes, like that, honestly, that's stuff you do like 10 to 20 years for. But in terms of the NCAA, now it's real. So it's weird how people, see, now it's for real. No, guys, when it was just sign stealing, it was the dumbest thing in the world. Now you have one of these dumbasses, and that's it. You have to be a dumbass in the middle of an investigation to not just delete, destroy technology, but then to have some evidence that you destroyed that technology or you destroyed information on it. You have to be really stupid. And so I just, now it's real. Now it is. Could Jim Harbaugh not be coaching all of next year? Because that is the kind of thing that looks like lack of institutional control.
He'll be coaching, but it'll just be in the NFL. What I'll compare the Sharon Moore crying thing to is this. I have a nearly
Still 18, back to it.
No. Listen, because this is how I'm trying to explain what triggered in my head. It's like I have an almost 18-month child at home, and there's little moments where my wife gets some new shelf and puts something on it, and there's something fragile in there that he's not supposed to touch. And he kind of walks up to it with his hand out, and he's kind of just and we understand you're only 18 months, you're still learning, you don't get it. So we're willing to, we'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But when you hear us say, hey, don't touch. And if you can stop yourself and then go play with something else, okay, we're good. But the second you touch it, then I lose it and I get mad at you and say, hey, you weren't supposed to touch that. Now you're in trouble. That's what happened. Michigan had me believing this wasn't that big of a deal. People are blowing it out of proportion, all this different stuff. And then they tried to go too far. They tried to take it too far and play the victim game. They were like, oh, no, woe is me. We're the victims here. We did nothing wrong. And we all know you actually did something wrong that was against the rules of the Big Ten, whether or not other teams are doing it or not. You got caught. Just you got to own it. It's the definition of fuck around and find out. You fucked around and you found out. Sorry.
So in reality, none of the facts have actually changed here for you. It's just you got mad because they didn't handle it the way you wanted them to.
Yes, pretty much.
All right. Well, shit. That was honest. Okay.
Well, and I will say too, as I thought about it more, the other thing that I think really did sway me in some way was thinking through, we could sit here and say, Nick, well, it doesn't matter. Everybody's doing it. But on some level, it must have mattered enough to invest so much time and money into this scandal and have a booster who was literally funding the damn thing for them to keep doing it. So on some level, I don't know if there's a way to quantify the type of advantage that it gave them. But as I thought about that more and that point specifically, I was like, yeah, I get other teams are probably doing this. And we know how protective coaches are over their signs and what, reporters at practice and what they're sharing and what they give away. They don't even tell you who's injured anymore until the day of, because they don't want anything to get out of the building, like all these different things. Like, they're so protective over this stuff. But on some level, like, it must have been giving Michigan some sort of advantage if they put all that time and money into it. And so I think the combination of that point and then them taking it to another level with the crying thing and acting like the victims put me in a situation where I was like, you know what, forget it. I'm on the side of Ohio State homer here.
All right, let's get to love it, like it, and leave it. And you can leave your love it, like it, leave it in our comment section, or if you're listening to this post the live version, wherever you get your podcast, don't forget to rate and subscribe. Please make sure, at Nick Wilson says, at Spencito _. We love to see this. Even if you're like listening to it on a random Wednesday, we still love to see it. So my love it is the Big Ten regular season has effectively come to a close. I know you have the Michigan game. That's the real close. But all the games that don't goddamn matter are over, and we are on to Michigan. And I love. We've been waiting to really see what this team is, and we're about to find out. And I'm excited to finally have the team and the opportunity for Ryan Day to answer the last two losses. So that's what I love.
I loved Emeka Egbuka today. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the show, but just him coming back now mostly healthy and contributing in a big way like he did. And I think you saw Ryan Day had some specific schematic things drawn up just for him. And I think it's great that as you get ready for that Michigan game, that obviously is the big stage, that Kyle McCord will now have another weapon at his disposal that isn't just throwing that up to Marvin Harrison Jr. That's still a good strategy at times, but it's nice that he's going to have another weapon in his arsenal, along with TreVeyon Henderson, who's just gotten better and better and looks so good tonight.
All right, my like it is, I got to admit it, I like the Golden Domes. That was awesome. That the Minnesota helmet with the the cursive M with that gold. I got to tell you guys, there's something about gold helmets that just really work with the right uniform combo. So kudos to Minnesota. That was awesome.
I'm actually going with a fashion one here too, Nick. I already loved my something. This is like it. I liked that jacket that Ryan Day was rocking on the sideline. Did you notice that jacket? Like, it's like a bomber jacket. It's got the Ohio State logo. It's got like a little like white pattern, like a white stripe pattern on the sleeves and on the collar. And I looked it up I looked it up during the game. Christmas is just around the corner. Anybody looking for a gift idea for me? It's out there. I saw it at Rally House. I saw it at Dick's. It's out there for the taking. If you're looking to get Spencer German here a nice little Christmas gift, your favorite host on Sons of the Shoe.
Uncle T, if you're out there, get Spencer. Get Spencer. All right. So moving to the leave it. I didn't like how apt or how on it the referee who called the unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. That really irritated me. He clearly went into that moment looking to throw a penalty. I don't know why, but I don't know what about it. And I actually like this. Maybe this is the better leave it. I want an explanation on why it is, because that's another one of those, when you see it moments. And I feel like if a ref is going to do that, we need the what is it? The pool report where officials explain why that was a 15-yard penalty on 7 kids who, if again, you get another kind of ticky-tack unsportsmanlike penalty, you're going to throw a kid out of the game for that. So yeah, I didn't like that. I'd like a damn explanation. What is your leave it?
That's a good one. My leave it is something I've touted throughout the season, just the red zone offense. It is the one area tonight that I thought Ryan Day could have been a little more creative at times, and where I thought Kyle McCord struggled maybe the most. Yes, he had some other instances where he wasn't great, but again, riding high off the Michigan State win, you felt like the offense was really rolling last week. Rightfully so. Michigan State's terrible. But this week, it felt like, okay, if they can kind of pick up where they left off and keep things going, maybe there's some momentum you're building for the Michigan game. And I felt like they kind of took a step back there, because you can't come up short of the end zone against Michigan, especially early in games, or I think they'll put you away earlier on. So that's a concern for me as we get ready for that team up north next week.
All right, guys, that does it for us. Ohio State 37, Minnesota 3. We'll see you next year, PJ Fleck. We'll see you the next time. And I think they actually might be better next year. They got some real talent on offense if they can just keep them together and out of the portal. It's going to be Michigan week, guys. And not only are we going to have you on the live version on 92.3 The Fans YouTube page right here when the latest selection rankings come out on Tuesday night, but we've got you early on Tuesday. We're going to have a preview of the Michigan game, all the ins and outs. And throughout the week, we're actually going to try and put together a couple things. We're going to try and have some special content throughout the week next week leading into the Michigan game to get you guys ready for this this most hollowed of rivalries. While you can, don't forget, like, subscribe, follow, all the good things, wherever you get your podcast, Sons of the Shoe podcast. We appreciate it. Uncle T, it's at Nick Wilson says, slide into those DMs, Uncle T. Until Tuesday, guys, be good. Go Bucks.